Hey y'all, welcome to a new episode of The Joy of Hacking Open Roller Coaster Tycoon. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, specifically vehicle hacking. Now, vehicle hacking up until a few weeks ago was considered one of the kind of most advanced and esoteric and inconvenient ways to hack the game, and most people didn't mess with it. Now that just has changed because there's a new plugin from a few weeks ago that was made by Bossy, and it makes it really easy. So this is going to be like a introductory level tutorial, and I might do a more advanced one later that talks about the older method, since there are a few things that you still can only do that way. So I've got a bunch of different applications to show you. So let me just jump in with this one. So this is a hack I've seen a few people do. I think the first person I saw do it was Mamarius, but there are probably others. So for a Eurofighter train, you might want to have it hacked so that it has these sit-down cars, but without this little thing at the front, because that will emulate what the real one looks like. So we're going to open up plugin, edit ride vehicles. I'm going to select Eurofighter. You see there's a few different options. So we only have one train spawned, and then here's the vehicle. We've got vehicle 1, vehicle 2. So the way this works is you have to have the vehicle actually spawn before you start doing this. So we're going to go to train 1, vehicle 1, and that front car, we're going to change what's called the variant. So right now it is 1. We're going to change it to 0, which is just the normal one. Now, this is not the most user-friendly thing to just have these numbers here, 0, 1. Sometimes there's a 2, a third option. These are just the numbers that the actual code of the game uses to distinguish the cars. A lot of times 0 will just be the main car that's usually there. Maybe 1 will be a front car and 2 will be a back car. But it just depends on the vehicles. So that's one really simple application of this. Here we've got something similar. This one is for like a RMC. This is based off of New Texas Giant and Mechadon Swags. Six Flags Over Texas. So I already did it. I'm just gonna respawn it so that you can see how I did it. So we've got just a normal looping coaster train here, and then we're gonna look in here, and then we're gonna change this front car, vehicle 1, and you could change it to something that looks more like an RMC train, like the automobile car. Another one I've seen used, I think also by Mechit, is the articulated roller coaster train. And that kind of has the, swoopy rounded front like a RMC train would have. You'll notice there's a little bit of a gap between the front and the second car now. That's one issue with this, is there's nowhere to control spacing. So that's one thing you have to worry about when using this plugin. Next I've got this example from my park Prairie Fire, where I had an Oregon Trail themed ride, where I had a horse pulling, this is the Stagecoach from one of the expansion packs. So let me show how that was done. So actually, let me start with horses so you can see. So you kind of intuitively, you'd think you'd want to start with a horse. And I'm going to go to my cheats and vehicle limits, get 2 of them. So you start with your horses, and then you go to edit ride vehicles and change the second one to a Stagecoach. Now immediately you notice that with this color scheme it looks weird. You probably don't want it to be bright red. Maybe you do, but you probably don't. So let's try to change that. And you run into this issue that you can't really change the colors independently. We could make that brown, and then this kind of works. The horse has got a brown saddle, but we can't really control all the colors. So if we wanted to make it completely brown, then the horse is brown too. So the problem here is right here, you see, we'll always see what the game still kind of thinks is here, thinks all the cars are. And if that is something that usually only has one vehicle, like a horse, then you can't set the colors separately. So what you want to do is pick something that you can change the colors on. So I'm going to choose the wooden roller coaster trains and pick something that's a similar length. Again, so you don't have like a big gap or an overlap between the 2 cars. So here I'm going to spawn them. Now I'm going to go to the plugin and edit them. Front one becomes horse. Second one comes a Stagecoach. And now we can go here. It thinks, it's still thinking wooden coaster, so we have the option of different colors per vehicle. Now we can make our front one, let's say white with a red saddle. And then the second one we'll make all brown. So if you have something you need to change the colors between the 2 vehicles, you make sure you start with the vehicle that allows you to do that, because then you'll still have that ability. Another option here could be that looks silly, but where I'm going with this is something like that. You see now they're a little too close together, so you'd want to experiment and find something that was a little bit didn't have that overlap, so a little bit longer cars like the wooden 6-seater maybe. Speaking of the wooden 6-seater, here's another hack that I did in my Park Prairie Fire. It's the coaster that's the main coaster of that park, and it uses a mix of the forwards and backwards 6-seater woodies. So this is a good way to if you want to have some backwards and some forwards vehicles kind of like face off, you can make that use if you have a forwards and a backwards one. So here you see the very first car is facing forward, second one is reversed, third one is forward, fourth one is reversed. You could also do a thing like have the first one reversed and then have the back two forward. Now everything is facing inwards, which it's easier to actually see this once the ride's open and you have people riding it. But this is a vehicle, or this is a setup I've used for like a swinging ship where you want to have everything facing inwards. All right, next, let's look at this car ride. So now I'm going to get into talking about using this for powered things. So if we've got a car ride is working in a way that's really interesting. So first vehicle of a car ride, second vehicle, third. And you kind of keep seeing the same thing, but you see it move a little bit each time. So let me actually pick a different one. Yeah, so each one of these cars separately is called as a different train, and then each one of those has 3 vehicles. The vehicle you actually see is the second vehicle. I don't really know what the third vehicle does, but it's the front vehicle, and you see the variant changing. It's the front vehicle that is the one that actually makes it powered. So the front vehicle is a 1, it's invisible. The second vehicle is the 0, that's the one you can actually see. And the third one is another 1. I don't really know why it's there. But what this means is if you spawn cars on a car ride, you can just change the visible vehicle to whatever you want, and it will keep operating just like normal. So say I wanted my cars to look like that, have a 6-seater using the hypercoaster train vehicle, we could do that, and it just keeps operating normally. It just keeps operating like it is, powered. So another thing we could do, say you want to have a really freaky dark ride, you could use these multi-dimension cars. You could even make, the track have different angles, and it would just go around like normal dark ride. Yeah, and you could just pick anything. Now say you've got a coaster that you want to make powered. So here we've got a mine train. This uses the regular mine train, not the powered one. But if we want to make it powered, all we need to do is select it in here and change the front car. So vehicle 1, we can change that to the powered mine train. Now you see immediately it starts going faster. Now one thing that you can change here is the acceleration, the max speed. This max speed, it's basically it's like miles per hour times 2. So like 65 is basically like 32.5 miles per hour. I don't know why that is the units they use, and if you want to change stuff faster, you can scale it using this. So here, 31, that should be about 15 miles per hour for the max speed, 15.5. And yeah, you see here it says 16 for the top speed. So that's one thing you can play with. You can also play with the acceleration. So I guess if I turn this up, then it'll reach its max speed really fast. Yeah, it comes out of the station, it gets up to the max speed all the way right here. And then if I turn the acceleration down, then I don't know if that's actually doing anything, but theoretically I think that's what acceleration should be doing. And you can also control how many guests will fit on the cars. This will update automatically as you change it. So in most settings, you don't necessarily need to change this or worry about it at all. But that's just the one other option I haven't talked about, so I thought I'd mention it. All right, there's one more thing I want to talk about which is here. I've got a basic shoestring carousel, just like I talked about in my very first video, how to build one of these. And one thing that a lot of people don't like about these, or just think they could make it better, is it's sometimes nice to have these a little more spaced out. I've seen people, you can kind of split them, do like a really complicated split and get it so that there's a whole space in between each of these, so that then you they just have more breathing room. Basically, you only have a horse every second. So we can do that with this. So I'm gonna get our carousel vehicle 1. You see it's just showing the underground one moving around. Vehicle 2 is actually on the track. And then let's take the odd numbered ones that are up here, and we're going to change them into something invisible. So I'm actually going to just use the sports cars extra vehicle, and this doesn't make it powered because I didn't change the front car. It's only the front car that determines whether something is powered. And you could just kind of keep doing this until you've done all of them. And there are other things that are invisible, like Ferris wheel. If you put Ferris wheel, it doesn't, won't make a giant Ferris wheel go around here. It just makes it invisible. I think if you want to adjust the seats, because you don't want 32 guests just, getting on the ride. Probably don't want that. And you can make one more of these invisible or not, but that's one way to do it. Another thing that I'd like to do with these is I honestly don't really like the double spacing. I'd like more like a 1.5 spacing. So what I like to do is you can put something a bit longer on, and you want to decrease your number of cars. So let's try that. I decreased the cars too much. So now I could change these to horses, and they'll be spread out. So obviously this is kind of inconvenient. It's kind of a workaround. It'd be much more convenient if there just was a thing that said spacing here, but it's not really practical to alter the spacing once the trains are spawned. Doing the older, less convenient method of vehicle hacking, you actually have to do the vehicle hacking as the trains are spawned, and so you can control spacing very precisely. But yeah, you can do something like this. Another good thing to start with, besides 6-seater Woodies, is the real long monorail cars. I think, as far as I can think of, those are the longest vehicles. But then you'd also want to make sure you change the front one, or else it's going to be powered, unless you want that. So yeah, there you can see they're slightly spaced. And yeah, if I picked the monorail cars, they'd be maybe spaced even better, a little bit further apart. But you get the idea, and I hope that this gave you all some ideas of things to experiment with this new plugin. I didn't really talk about how to get it, but it's pretty straightforward. You just, I'll link to it in the description. You can download it, download the .js, the JavaScript file, and then you just drop it in your plugins folder, and then you can hold the map and all your plugins will be right there. All right. Hope you all enjoy that, and might be back with some more advanced vehicle hacking at some point in the future. Yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next video.